Wow. Look, Manchester United, they just did the unthinkable. And it is fair to say, that Pep Guardiola was outclassed by the Dutchman, Erik ten Hag. You know, I sincerely did not expect this, you know. But, congratulations to the Red Devils, man. I guess it just makes it, very ironic to say the least. I mean, the fact that, Manchester United, their better rivals, have won trophies this season. Liverpool won the Carabao Cup. Their crosstown rivals won the Premier League and they just won the FA Cup. So it's like, wow. All three, major rivals in English football have just won. It's like they've just gotten their fair share of all the domestic trophies that were on offer. Yeah, that's exactly what happens in football, man. But congratulations to the Red Devils, because Erik ten Hag's side, they just ended the season on a high, with a stunning FA Cup final victory, at Wembley Stadium. And that was not expected, to be honest. I did not expect that. I did not see that coming, because Manchester United have had a horrendous season. They've had a horrendous season, to say the least. I guess this was one of their worst seasons since the departure of Alex Ferguson. I mean, it was just horrendous, finishing 8th. But look, the fact that now that they've won the FA Cup, they will still be playing European football next season. They will be playing in the UEFA Europa League next season. And to say the least, once again, please, let me welcome you to Football is a Religion. I'm your host, Bube Simpatio Mhlaba. Welcome to Football is a Religion. Let's get straight to it. It's just shocking, man, because Manchester United fans must be over the moon, man. So look at Erik ten Hag. I want us to start with Erik ten Hag because now he's actually putting like the speculation of his future, at Old Trafford to one side, leading United to a second trophy in his spell as the manager, 3 finals and 2 trophies. I guess that is something to admire about ten Hag, even though they haven't been performing very well in the Premier League. But it was goals from the academy graduates, Alejandro Garnacho as well as Kobe Mainoo, that did seal the victory for Manchester United, which prompts them to qualify for the UEFA Europa League next season. So, Erik ten Hag, right. Much of the build-up to the game had been centered around, his future. With reports on Friday suggesting that United had decided to part company with the Dutchman, regardless of the result, regardless of the outcome in the showpiece final, right? And it was actually to be his final match in charge. The United players gave him, the ultimate send-off as first off goals by Alejandro Garnacho, who pronounced on his calmacious mix-up between Josko Guardiola as well as Stefan Ortega, and then Kobe Mainoo left Pep Guardiola's side stunned. Guardiola was just outclassed by ten Hag in this particular encounter. Manchester City were just playing nonsense. The first half it was just a trash performance from the blue half of Manchester. And I'm talking about the 4-time Premier League champions. Like when I say 4-time Premier League champions, I mean it to say that, now that they've won the Premier League 4 times, in a row, I will just say it is like 4 times Premier League champions. Manchester City, they did try to find a way back into the game in the second half, but Erling Haaland's strike rattled the crossbar before Andre Onana twice kept out long-range efforts from Kyle Walker. However, Onana couldn't keep out, the substitute Jeremy Doku's strike as City pulled the goal back in the 87th minute. And that particular goal by the Belgian, actually set up a grandstand finish. You saw the City fans, they roared as 7 minutes of stoppage time were announced by the 4th official, but it was actually the Manchester United fans that were celebrating. At the sound of the full-time whistle as their side, held on to stop their rivals from becoming the first side to secure back-to-back Premier League and FA Cup doubles. So no side has ever done that. Hopefully one day Chelsea will do it. FA Cup glory now sees that Manchester United, added a second piece of silverware under Erik ten Hag, following up their Carabao victory from last season. And it was also Manchester United that put a disappointing league season behind them by sealing Europa League qualification. But the question remains whether ten Hag will lead them into next season. We'll see about that. You understand? Which means that Newcastle United will also miss out on Europe, as Manchester United did qualify for the Europa League, because Manchester United's FA Cup win means that they will play in the Europa League next season, and Newcastle United will miss out, on European qualification. As well as Chelsea. Chelsea will also not feature in the UEFA Europa League because now they're going to be, dropped to the UEFA Conference League, So those are the changes, man. It's funny how the change of fortunes can just change within a space of 90 minutes. Not only for Manchester United, but for all the other teams. You understand? And I will say, Ten Hag, how do I rate him as a Manchester United manager? The fact that he's got 2 trophies with the Red Devils, I would rate him as a 6 out of 10. Honestly speaking. He did kind of like change Manchester United's fortunes in terms of ending their 6-year drought of not winning a trophy. He led them into the Champions League, finishing 3rd. He also led them to the FA Cup final in his first season. So that was a stunning season. That was a stunning way to actually begin your tenure as a Manchester United coach. It's just that now in his second season, Manchester United were disastrous. They were horrendous. They finished last in their Champions League group, you understand? As well as the fact that they finished 8th in the league. They got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. And you understand, they just nearly made it to the finals of the FA Cup. They were just lucky that Liverpool were very careless in terms of taking their chances. Liverpool just did not take their chances in that quarterfinal clash, as well as that disaster against the championship side Coventry City. Seeing that Coventry City came back from a 3-goal deficit to actually rescue it to 3-3, and then Manchester United had to be forced to penalties against the championship side. That was just embarrassing. But I guess, winning silverware is all that matters. And, it prompts them to actually play European football. You understand? So the fact that you win silverware and you still will be playing European football, I guess it should also be an achievement. But by Manchester United standards, I don't necessarily think that is an achievement. You understand? So on the side of Erik ten Hag, all I think he should just do is that he should just prepare the team. Develop the team, progress the team, and it's a project, right? So remember when Erik ten Hag arrived from Ajax Amsterdam to Old Trafford, Manchester United was a mess. You understand? They were a mess. And what I can actually say is that by far, now they're actually much better than they were before he actually arrived. And they're not I don't think they are as far as you would expect them to be, but there's been so much, signs of improvement from this Red Devil side. And remember, football is all about winning trophies. You understand? And I guess, that's exactly what Erik ten Hag has done with this Manchester United team, right? But their football hasn't been the best. It hasn't been as fluid, as dynamic as you would expect. But, as you win games and you win trophies, then that's the mentality that you have to bring into the club, and that's exactly what Erik ten Hag has done. I mean, 2 trophies in 2 seasons. It's something that you just cannot underestimate. You just cannot, what can I say? You just cannot, undermine the fact that, he has actually done very well. You understand? And only with one opportunity, they only had one opportunity to salvage their season, their disastrous campaign, which was the FA Cup, and they did it. So, everybody has got room to actually be proud of the players as well as the staff and the coach, Erik ten Hag. And meanwhile, the former Manchester United captain, Roy Keane hopes that, the club will keep Erik ten Hag after the FA Cup victory. But, to say the least, we'll just see what the new owners of Manchester United decide. Again, man, but it was actually unexpected, to say the least. It was so unexpected. Very much unexpected. I mean, you look at it from this point of view, man. It was, what I can say, was a breathless start to the game. Marcus Rashford, he looked, to burst through on the Manchester City goal, only to be denied by Welcome. And before the game's first huge flashpoint, came, and Bernardo Silva's cross was actually aimed at Haaland. And then from that point onwards, it looked like Haaland was bundled over by Lisandro Martinez, but in the penalty area. But the referee, Andy Madley, he just decided to wave off, the huge Manchester City appeals. But the Czech of the incident was completed by the VAR, and it didn't lead to any review in what was a big call so early on in the match, right? And let's talk about Lisandro Martinez. Lisandro Martinez, yeah, the reason why Manchester United's season was horrendous is because of his absence, injuries. He's such a solid defender. Even for a man of his height, he's so solid. And I don't blame the fact that Argentina did call him up to the Copa America squad. I don't blame them. He's such a solid player. I mean, for a player of his height, to actually be defending like at that, to be making those, important interventions, which led his team to FA Cup glory, is something that you just cannot underestimate, and you just cannot take that away from him. And following that early scurry, Manchester United, they settled into the game very well, as expected. And Pep Guardiola's side dominated the ball, but United looked well drilled and poised to actually strike on the counter. And the first shot on target in the game it fell to Erik Ten Hag's side with Bruno Fernandes picking out Garnacho on the right, but the winger's shot was straight at the goalkeeper Ortega. And it was a matter of like, how can I say it, man? Funny how Manchester United were the ones that were more in the game. They were the ones that were dominating. It was just sloppy. Manchester City were very sloppy. They were so sloppy. It was just something that I didn't understand. It was so uncharacteristic from them. They were so sloppy with simple passes, not even finding their target. And it was a huge mix-up at the heart of the Man City defense, which did lead to the opening goal, mind you. And it's like, guys, I was just as surprised. I couldn't believe it, man. Is this Manchester City that we were watching? Or are we just watching? Because it's like, it's like watching Manchester United. You would think that Manchester United is Manchester City and that Manchester City is Manchester United. The way Manchester City were just like playing uncharacteristically. I mean, that was just nonsense. Very sloppy, very casual in terms of, the ball. I don't understand. Maybe did they just underestimate Manchester United coming into this game? Because it seems like it. By the looks of things, they just underestimated their opponents. Remember, even coming into this one, Manchester City made 3 changes from that team that beat West Ham, last weekend to win the Premier League. So it was Ruben Diaz, Manuel Akanji, as well as Jerome Doku that dropped to the bench, with John Stones, Nathan Ake, as well as Mateo Kovacic coming into the starting 11. And then on the side of Manchester United, Marcus Rashford returned, to the Manchester United starting lineup for the first time since that semi-final victory over Coventry like a month ago. And then there was also a first start for Rafael Varane since that 4-3 defeat to Chelsea at the Bridge on the 4th of April. He then partnered with Lisandro Martinez in central defense, with Harry Maguire was also absent due to injury, but he was called up to the England squad for the Euro 2024 as well. Casemiro was not called up to the Brazil, squad for the Copa America, as he was also dropped out of the squad, which was a late withdrawal due to injury. With Ahmed Diallo dropping to the bench, Mason Mount was also among the substitutes. So those were like basically the team news that we could say from, the part of Manchester City. Those were like some of the changes from Manchester City as well as Manchester United coming into the game. And how did the game actually go? As we continue with the game, Garnacho, he chased the routine ball over the top of the Manchester City defense before Calmasius mix-up between Guardiola as well as Ortega allowed the Argentine winger to finish into an empty net. And it's a moment, Guardiola who headed the ball over the onrushing Ortega. And the goalkeeper will not want to forget that, because I did not understand that mix-up, That's just uncharacteristic of Manchester City. But the United fans did not care whatsoever. The celebrations got even louder just before the break, as Mainu strike extended the lead. Rashford started the move with a fine crossfield pass to Garnacho before Fernandes' deft flick teed up Mainu to send Manchester United into the break in dreamland. You would say that Bruno Fernandes was the one that sent, Kevin De Bruyne to school. He schooled him today in that particular encounter. But Guardiola actually, reacted to City's sluggish performance. We saw like there was a double change at the break as Manuel Akanji and Doku replaced Mateo Kovacic as well as Nathan Ake. Then the champions were looking for an instant response, but they almost got it through Haaland, but his strike rattled the crossbar as Manchester United's 2-goal advantage stayed intact. Guardiola, from that particular moment in time, He was forced into another huge call as City looked for a way back into the context, replacing the ineffective Kevin De Bruyne with Julian Alvarez with 56 minutes on the clock. The chances started to come by, for Manchester City, but the goals didn't follow. Andre Onana pulled off a stunning save to keep up Kyle Walker's powerful effort before Alvarez, poked wide of the far post to leave Guardiola with his head in his hands. And from that particular moment in time, you could say City, they eventually did get the lifeline, when Doku's shot squeezed past Onana late on, but it actually just proved not to be a mere consolation as United held on to win the FA Cup for a 13th time in their history. Wow. But congratulations to Manchester United and congratulations to Erik ten Hag. You understand? What a great performance it was from them. And again, a very disastrous performance from Manchester City. You understand? A very disastrous performance from them. But I guess, Erik ten Hag, all eyes will be on that. All eyes will be on that, I wonder what the Manchester United fans will be saying about this. But please mention what you guys think in your comments. You understand?